Hey everyone, and welcome to another Krozzfyre cast. Now I've got a bit of a request for you guys today. This came from my thread on game replays, and it comes from a user called JM12, who I believe is actually Jaeger in game, and he's just asking to see if I can have a look at his replay and see if we can give him any hints and tips on the way along. So why don't you guys join me on an adventure through time and space itself as we explore this replay and see what we can do for JM12. I'll either call you JM12 or Jaeger. I'll probably call you both throughout the match, but do forgive me if I get you confused sometimes. And let's introduce your opponent, because hey, there's no one likes playing on their own. Opponent today is going to be HungryLizard. Rock on. So HungryLizard is going to be playing as the Soviets, trying to put his foot up your ass. So first things first, Pioneer squad is going to move out, and you're going to follow up with a Grenadier squad, which there is nothing wrong with that. That is my usual opening when I'm playing Austere. I don't play a great amount of Austere, especially in 1v1, but I do sort of know what I'm talking about sometimes. Straight off, the first thing I'm going to say is when you're this right-hand side player, it is very difficult to go and just focus solely on the bottom, because this cutoff point is so easily accessible by your opponent. It's got several flanks in which he can come into this cutoff point, and as soon as he takes this one point, then suddenly everything from here all the way down is no longer benefiting you. You're not getting any of that income. So unless you plan on heavily defending this point for the rest of the match, then going bottom only isn't the best option. But what you've done now, because you haven't gone for this point here, you've kind of left it entirely in the hands of the Austere player, which you're just going to have to deal with it. That he's going to have like a large amount of forces in the top bit. Sure, you might be able to cap up everything in the bottom, but like I say, it's just only because it's so easily to deny you all of your lovely points just by taking this one point. So yeah, Grenadier into MG into second Grenadier. This is a classic kind of opening. And it works well against most things. Again, this is my standard sort of build. It's because around about the sort of 2-minute mark, this is when you're going to have your first engagement, and your first engagement is really going to dictate the rest of your play. It's going to dictate what units you're going to get next, what tier or what tech you're going to go. So we'll continue to observe. I thought I did see like the glimmer of a troop around here somewhere, but obviously still no initial contact, no first basic engagement. Getting 2 VPs up nicely though, so that's going to be an advantage for you early. It's nice not to have to worry about that. I'm just going to have a quick drink of my cola. Oh, you can't beat the good stuff, right? Coke Zero. It you know, sponsoring me, obviously. They send me loads of this stuff now. I'm big time if you guys didn't guess already. Okay, so we've got 2 engagements. We've got the conscript squad running down there, so they just missed out on your MG, and your Grenadiers having a good little tiff with the conscripts because you're in this yellow cover and he's charging into you. Yeah, there you go. There goes down a couple of troops. Just bear in mind it's obviously directional cover, but you are in the right kind of direction. There's kind of a bush. So because he's running about and he's moving about, you should win this engagement now quite easily. Like you can see is going down quite well. But Molotov comes in on top. You do the right thing, you don't retreat straight off, and you are able to win that engagement. What do you do now? Go cap up. Go and cap up. So if the MG here is going to, might take down another conscript squad or 2, but what you can do, which is super annoying and frustrating, is get your MG in this building here. When you're in this building here, you've got a very similar line of sight right down to here. It sort of has access to all these different flanking routes as well, and it's right outside his base. It is very annoying to deal with. So that's what I would do. Like I say, just puts pressure on him early, and it really plays the mental game then as well when you're right outside his base like that. So okay, you need to quick pause because I can't quite keep up with the action or my words either. Just when you win an engagement like this up on top, okay, so you beat off the conscript squad, and that was the only thing that was up here, or you can imagine that you can think there's anything up here. What you just need to do, you need to spend just that 1 or 2 seconds just to select the squad, cap up, shift click, cap up, shift click, cap up, and with this guy then, cap up, and then shift click, cap up, shift click, cap up. You will encounter someone eventually, but for all that time then, they are being productive whilst they're out in the field. They're not just standing about. Again, Coke Zero coming back to haunt me. Yeah, so you just keep your troops active, keeping them busy, keeping them in the green, in the money, and doing the right thing. So a second MG coming out, okay, that's kind of fair. You've seen a couple of conscripts, but you haven't seen loads. So I'd expect some sort of like conscript into tier 1 or tier 2 build. I imagine tier 1. That's just my initial feeling. So another MG isn't always the best plan. What I would have done is, instead of getting that second MG, there's nothing wrong with getting the second MG out. So what I'm saying is, I haven't seen a great amount of conscripts about. Like, I've seen like 2 or 3 squads. It's not enough to warrant, though, that he's just going conscripts. So what I would have done, I would have teched then the tier 2, because you had a little breathing space. You didn't need another unit straight out there. And tier 2 then, obviously, that would have given you rifle nades for your grenadiers, having 2 of them out in the field. It's going to affect them both straight away. And obviously you can start building then as well to tier 2, because as soon as you see a scout car, you can get your own scout car out and upgunned. As soon as you see any sort of like tier 2 action, you can get like your half track out and get the flamers on it ready to go. But let's get this guy back on the road. Yeah, again, that's kind of my thinking. So your pioneer squad has actually done very well in decapping this point, but he shouldn't stay and hang about with the conscripts too long. Yeah, that's right. Move them back up here to the safety of the MG. Don't retreat them, because you can just loop them around, if anything. Loop them back and start capping it back up at your fuel. Rightly so, now the Grenadiers are moving up, and you are targeting the right points straight away. These are the 2 more valuable points to take. Argues can be made about taking strategic points over the victory points. Is standard preference. Another thing you could have done is use this Grenadier squad to go and cap this point, which would have cut them off and denied this top point, making you being more effective in your decapping. But again, it's under preference, and as long as the Grenadier squads are kind of close together and capping, who cares? MG is now going to encounter this conscript squad flank, so he's got Molotovs already, so you should be aware of that. You should see, as soon as he starts to wind up like that, very good. Very nicely done there, JM12. That's exactly what you needed to do. But unfortunately, obviously you set up straight away. As soon as you exit the building, just be like, just selecting the box, making sure you get your MG before he actually sets up. But a very good cover, field division cover then, with the second MG to actually push those troops away and protect that MG, who can now go and at least put some pressure down on the field. Obviously, you just need to readjust this guy, move him back, but readjust this guy to cover his advance, which again you are doing. So you are proving that you are competent with your micro of MGs, which is excellent because some players aren't. So now that's been secured down, go and cap up your field, because obviously even though you've got their field, that's not your field to have. That's going to fall to his hands quite quickly, or her hands. You never know. But tier 2 is down now as well. I'd be interested to see what you go for. I would personally, in this situation, I would consider going for the half track with the flamer upgrade, simply to give all of your troops a bit more staying power. Ooh, a bit more lining there. Is that the 120mm mortar? It is not. That is regular mortar. So his choice of commander is still a mystery. But this guy is seriously at risk of. He's in great peril. Another good mortar strike coming down. As soon as you've seen the mortar light landing around here, you should just move from this vicinity, sort of like around the mortar strike. You can sort of assume that it's going to fall, all the mortar is going to fall around about that area. So just move them away from there as soon as possible to avoid any more incoming damage. Going up against these flame engineers, they're in green cover as well. What I would do is back out and then try and okay. So your MG is going to be able to pin them eventually as soon as you move out of green cover. And then as soon as they are suppressed, I would throw a grenade over. No need to though; they've gone out for you. Again, you need a little bit of an advance now, so if you set up your MG to have a field of vision all the way around here, this point will be secure, and your pioneers should set up some form of mine around here. I'd put some sort of like telemine down there, possibly some anti-infantry mines, simply because that is a very valuable flank to come around on your cutoff point. Excuse me once again, as Coke Zero comes back and haunts me. And you got time, you got munitions, you got pioneers out there as well. So all of those things, whenever you get the chance to build mines, just do it. They almost always pay for themselves. They're the one unit that, the one thing you can do which your opponent cannot see or guess or detect unless he has the upgrade, and it's very unlikely that people have the upgrade, especially at the so early in the meta, if you will, because the Germans aren't necessarily expected to get as many mines as the. There you go. Okay, so we've got some mines down here. Some nice telemines going down. Maybe you heard me. I don't know. Maybe I'm telepathic and I'm speaking into the future, and you're hearing me in the past. Wow, that could have been really deep if I got that right. But yes, okay, so you went for the scout car. Scout car is not a bad decision. Whilst it's unupgraded, it will do a decent amount of damage against the conscripts, and it will eventually force them off, but they have an AT gun out now, and it was a barrage coming in, but you very quickly and rightly move out of the way, so he might take down the church with these shots. There it goes down, look. In a hailstorm of splinters and a piece of wood. Grenadier squad shouldn't have stayed too long for that that rifle lead. You can see it didn't do a great amount of damage. And I would just straight up run your pioneers out of here, just retreat them out, because they will start taking some shots from the advancing conscripts, and your scout car isn't going to be able to do enough damage to push all of these guys off and save your pioneers. It might, but it'd be very micro-intensive and costly. I mean, like, you just really capitalize on this middle bit, go and take that Ziskin off him for having it so far forward in the first place, or obviously going up and supporting. But this is the point where I question the scout car slightly. If there had been a half track, then all of these forces that you have that are quite low would still be very valuable. And fine, this guy is way too far forward now. This guy's run into, yeah, there you go, you recognized it, that's cool. Yeah, the Grenadiers picking off some more kills, getting a bit of veterancy. Grenadiers with veterancy are awesome, and I would say that they're better than conscripts with veterancy. They just deal more damage and they can take more damage. That's my rough assumption. Don't take that as being literally correct or sort of quoting it as a stat. It's not. At this point you should have, or at least have the intention of going for your medic bunker. For both the Germans and the Austria, Germans and the Soviets, the 10-minute mark is kind of your optimal timing for having your medic stations down, because after that point, you know, you're starting to focus more on vehicles. You're not going to get as much worth out of it as you would have if you bought it earlier, because it's always useful to have. You can see how low these guys are, even though they're, you know, he should be half HP. He should be. There you go. He's got that much health running out. That's free damage you could heal up if you'd got a bunker down in the first place. And remember, obviously, that the Grenadiers can build bunkers as well. So whilst they're reinforcing, these guys could have paired up together and built this bunker, and the medic station could have come out quite quickly. So you got a nice little defensive position here. Obviously, you've got your telemines right there as well. The trouble is the telemines are kind of in not the great position now, because you've got this hard point here. If the mines were up here, for example, or even covering this flank, or covering this flank, this entrance, then they'd be a lot more viable than they are right there. Because there's a higher chance of them as a good mortar shot coming down on top of your MG is going to have to get out, and these pin guys aren't going to have too much trouble. If his mortar lands on his mines, your Panzer Grenadiers are dead. Bear that in mind. His mortar will set off those mines if it lands near there. And obviously trying to wheel back away from these conscripts now is a little bit difficult. You should go and support them with your scout car, but your scout car is going hunting. So he's going hunting for that, probably for the mortar. And there's, yeah, a bit of a lack of attention there by leaving. Oh, there you go, look, see how close that was? The mortar setting off the mines. That would have spelled a good game for your guys there. Or guy, should I say. Grenadiers continue to cap up north, which is fine and dandy. Should be able to push off those engineers if you decide to focus them soon. MG in a bit of a poor place down here. He's not doing anything down here. I think you might have just got him in, but yeah, he needs to go and move in a more productive place. The thing is with MGs, you can't use them as your first forward troop. You always need something to back them up or to go and cover their advance. You can't just run them in and expect to set up in front of a conscript squad and then just to sit there. So as long as you've got like some sort of screening unit, you can just use pioneers just to go and make sure that there's nothing gonna inhibit your advance. Go and do that, and then move your MG in the most desirable place you can, which is wherever it's going to cost your opponent the most. So conscripts are now going to come in here and start to take back this point. You do have veterans in this guy, but you should expect the Molotov. I thought I seen a guy coming in. That's not a great rifle nades. And now he's got the PPSHs as well. It's difficult. It's going to be very difficult. There you go. You're going to get out of there. But again, okay, so now you've got the medic station out as well, so that's cool. Now I'll shut my mouth about that. But in terms of fuel, you're floating quite a bit of fuel. You could have used this fuel to, you know, be at Tech 3 already and starting to produce your first medium vehicle. But it's not always necessary. Like, you knew that your opponent had a Zis gun out somewhere, so there's going to be some form of AT at least. So there's no real rush for it. But as long as you're not going to be caught with your pants down when he gets an SU-85 out, or he starts rushing you with a vehicle that you can't keep up with your pack gun. So the P4, obviously the patch is coming in tonight, or last night, depending on when this video gets uploaded. So this is not the patched version just yet, but P4s do well against infantry right now. That's all I'm going to say. I don't know how well they're going to do against infantry after the patch, but right now they do quite well against infantry. So having a P4 presence is a deterrent against vehicles for your opponent, and it's a deterrent against the infantry as well. So this proved to be quite an eyesore for the Russians, a bit of a headache, where no matter what they'll be doing something annoying, you know. So it forces them to get SU-85s, which in turn you can pack up against, or you can get a Tiger out, because you do have the Tiger Doctrine. Obviously there's going to be changes to Strafe as well. I'm not going to get into that. Let's not get into that at all. But Opel choice, that is something I will talk about briefly, because there was a very interesting point raised by the devs, the developers of the game last night when they made their cast. And here is what they said. The current Opel Blitz truck will double your resources on whatever point that is. So let's say it was on a fuel point. Well, instead of giving you the normal amount of fuel, it'll give you double the amount of fuel. If you had a regular strategic, I thought you were gonna get. Oh, he did went down. I had to go down. That's kind of unfortunate. Again, you're playing just a bit too close to the conscripts. As soon as they got the PPSHs, they are very, very dangerous up close. Don't let them get in that far close to you. If it means you don't cap this point, it means you don't cap the point. But if you can go and get some cover and force them to charge in against you, then that's when you're going to start picking up kills. Anyway, back to Opel Blitz trucks. So at the moment, they'll just double anything that comes in. So 3 fuel and 5 munitions there will actually give you another 3 fuel and 5 munitions from that truck. If you had the OP down on it, it would give you whatever the OP, like double as well with the OP. That is changing. It's going to be made into 300 manpower. Instead of that now, it is just going to give you a flat bonus. That's a nice kill there from these Panzergrenadiers coming on a good flank to take that squad down. That's going to be helpful. So yep, you can take control of the top once again, have dominating presence over the fuel and the munitions. That is always a pleasant sight for whatever army or whatever player you are. So Opel Blitz trunks at the moment, they take about 6 minutes to. Okay, a nice idea for this forward mine, but unfortunately it's a little bit too far forward. Quite good positioning because it's on the road. Wherever you see roads, try and mine them up, because vehicles will automatically path to roads, as will infantry, as is the fastest way of getting about. And so mines tend to be great there. So now you can see this unvetted Panzergrenadier squad is eating this Vet 2 concept squad with a PPSH alive. So it was good. He didn't hit the dirt. If he hit the dirt, he would have been able to stick up the fight a lot better. Obviously, hit the dirt is now being changed in the patch as well. Just to briefly explain that to you guys, what happens at the moment is hit the dirt gives you a minus 0.5 increase, if you will, then to your received, or decrease to your received accuracy. So it's a lot harder to hit you when you're in hit the dirt. Now it's just going to replace that with just yellow cover. So if you're in green cover and you use hit the dirt pre-patch, it would stack. You'd have the 0.5 received accuracy reduction bonus, and then the bonus of being in green cover. But now you'll just get the green cover bonus. It won't stack. So if you're in green cover and you hit the dirt, nothing special happens except that you can get run over. Okay, so the Zis barrage was coming in up around here, but you've managed to evade that nicely enough. You've got the force as well to handle these flame engineers. Don't worry about the Zis gun firing on you. You might get a kill here or there, but we can run in on there. Again, the second Blitz Opel truck now. Again, it'd been better if you had it on the fuel here, or if you had it on, if you like OP a point and have the Blitz truck, it does then stack. But again, it won't stack after the patch. Those are things for you to think about for the next few hours, whilst you play for the next few hours before. Oh no, wait! This video is going to come up too late. This video is going to be up after the patch anyway. So a good little push off of the flame engineers now, but yeah, very rightly so. Get those guys out there. Just go and heal them up, because you're going to save so much manpower if you keep them alive, which you do. Fantastic. So what are we thinking now? Okay, here's my issue. You've gone for tier 3 and you're getting out the the P4 when you had enough fuel to get out of Tiger. Obviously didn't have the CP for it, but there's no real necessary need. You don't. There's no huge cry for a P4 out in this field right now. If you just saved up for the Tiger, I mean, it's obviously a lot more of a presence than the P4 is. That said, you know, as soon as this P4 is built and you've got enough manpower, you can just pop out another. You can pop out another 2 straight after, well, like one after the other. But would you rather have 3 P4s or 2 Tigers? So I kind of know what I'd rather. I'd rather be playing Soviet. Anyway, is this barrage going unrecognized? Oh no, okay, we've just seen it now. Obviously, the mortar squad is in Great Peril going down. So he's used a lot of munitions on these barrages, and I mean a lot. There's 60 each, so I don't think they've done any real significant damage to you. Another good defensive mine coming down here. Don't be afraid of using the anti-personnel mines, especially on the VPs and things, because it's one of those ones where you always underestimate how much damage they do. It is 80 munitions, it is a lot, but you always see... Okay, this guy isn't parked anymore. I don't know what happened there. I don't know if you're moving him somewhere. Probably moving him to this point, I imagine, because this point is now being risked, so you picked up on that better than I did. And I completely forgot what I was saying. Terribly sorry. What was I saying? What was I saying? No idea. I was talking about tigers and stuff. Personally, I mean, I don't really like the Tiger Doctrine that much. I always prefer to go for Elephant Doctrines, just because I'm confident that with Elephants I can take on any tank. With Tigers, not so much. I'm just not as good a fan. So, here comes an airstrike of some description. It's going to be the Incendiary Barrage, which does reveal your opponent's commander choice. But let's go and check it out just to sort of show you guys what it is anyway. So yes, obviously it's hit the dirt, but the different hit the dirt. It's the hit the dirt with the Rapid Conscription and the Incendiary. So this is a strange one. You don't see this very regularly. There's no high power call-ins at all for it. I mean, no guards, no shock troops. There is nothing like that at all. It does allow your conscripts to repair stuff, but he doesn't really, apart from using now with the S-85 out, which has been revealed. But allows his conscripts to be an effective repair force. But there's only 2 conscripts out in the field, so this is interesting. Interesting from HungryLizard. It's not very regular play. You can see this every Tuesday night. But P4 goes charging on in, running over a branch and a person at the same time. That's quite unfortunate having to be buried together. Opel Blitztruck needs to get itself parked, because if it's not parked, it's not doing nothing. Ain't worried about nothing. I think this one's been up for a bit too long now. Like I say, at the moment it's 6 minutes, but after the patch it's going to be 10 to 15 minutes for your Opel Blitztrucks to actually pay for themselves. And that's a long time. That's a serious investment consideration. I mean, I don't think it's worth it then after this patch. I didn't realize how overpowered that the Opel Blitztrucks could be. I didn't quite recognize how they worked. But now that I know how the patch is playing with them as well, I'd probably be staying away from them. So you got 2 P4s out now, 2 P4s in the pack, which should mean that you can take on this Su-85 handily. But the thing that you always see with the German players, as soon as they encounter the Su-85, it's like a dog licking a lime. It sort of licks a lime and it's like, what's that? What's that? Like, no, I don't like it, man, I don't like it. And you see these P4s doing this, like, both of them full-on retreating, legging it out of there. And that's perfect for an Su-85, because if you're just backing out, well, the Su-85, all it needs is a straight line fire down, and that you're giving it to him. When you've got 2 P4s, the best thing to do is to keep them together, rather than splitting up, because now you could have very easily turned this into a flank. You can still turn it into a flank. There was the pack-in back here, though, so obviously you need to be wary of that, but your other P4 is not doing anything. This guy's still not part. That's really made me, it's really upset me, that. That said, your opponent hasn't been microing your Su-85 at all, or at least any decently. Firing against this MG isn't going to get him anywhere. Quick tip with your MG, you can turn on your armor-piercing bullets. It won't do a huge amount of damage, especially against the frontal armor of an Su-85, but it will start doing a bit more damage against the pinned infantry. Up here, you've encountered that he's got an OP. Is that, yep, that's your strafing run coming in. Might be able to take out this AT gun and possibly even the... Oh, I'm not too sure. We'll soon find out. But this guy's now very low. Yeah, get him out. Save that LMG. Pinned down there. I want to see a very fast Tiger, sorry, not Tiger, a very fast P4 coming down there to capitalize on it and to run those guys over. Playing a risky game here because you're going in a 2v1 situation. If he can very easily trap you. You've got a great flank on this S-85 now. This S-85 is gonna just keep on going, keep moving here. There you go, abandoned, even better. Go and bully this guy now. Bully him as much as you can and get whatever troops you can just to jump in this vehicle and right on out of there, because it's got no damaged engine, so you should have no trouble whatsoever in getting out. Then he's going to want to try and take this down himself if he can. That's what this barrage is about. But the barrage actually isn't great against vehicles. But again, just move him out of the way. Just move him. Just do something with him. Go and nab this. The S-85 goes down to the barrage, which is, you know, it's still, you've taken out the S-85. That's all that matters. Finally, Opel Blitzrug has gone down. I am happy about that. And a fourth P4 coming out now. So you've taken out the S-85. Let's have a little look at HungryLizard. I mean, I wouldn't know what to expect. You've had the majority of the map control at the moment. So he's gone for an SU-76, which is seriously baffling. Because he's not going to be able to stack up to a P4 at all. He does have two pack guns, two Zis guns out. I mean, you've got a very overwhelming force of armor, which can entirely devastate him right now. At this moment in time, you can easily overwhelm them with vehicles alone if you kept them together. If you kept them together and pushed out together with them, they've all got the upgrade for the pivot-mounted MG42, so they can do an increased damage against infantry. Strike while the iron's hot, man. Like I say, you know where there's definitely a pack in here. There's definitely a pack in there, which means that if you send two P4s to both those locations, you should be able to nullify both of the AT that's left in the game and destroy those pack-ins that can't be recrewed. Okay, so now you know it's there. This is the high-value target, the Su-76, because it is glass cannon. It's not very expensive, but it's like I say, it'll go down very quickly. Strafing run coming down. Strafing run isn't the most amazing decision because it is kind of expensive, 120 munitions. But that said, it forces off the conscripts. Down goes the AT gun as well as the Su-76. That's a good little push. Now, if you can get the same going down on this area, fortunately you've been AT-nated at some point, but obviously you've got your pioneers very close by to go ahead and repair that. And just capitalize on this push. Okay, so your AT gun is still very far back. Machine gun is still really far back. It could have come up and taken this point and locked down this point for you. Meanwhile, your mortar could be up on this munitions point, decapping and being in position to fire. So there's just a bit too many troops lying about and not doing much. It doesn't matter if you keep them sort of like blobbed up somewhere towards middle, as long as they're not too heavily concentrated, so they're not going to get like taken out by one barrage or something. You need to yeah, okay, I was about to say, just micro away this P4 just so he doesn't get 18-aided for no reason. So if you've got 4 P4s that are all 18-aided, well, that sucks. I would definitely get out another Pioneer squad because you need it. You know, you got 3 vehicles that need attention right now, and 1 Pioneer squad who's running about all of the map is not very sensible. Because it's essentially stalling because you've only got 1 Pioneer squad. If you had another Pioneer squad, you'd be repairing up twice as fast, which would mean that you'd be getting back to the actions twice as fast. That said, this P4 is going to come up and support against all this infantry, which cannot do jack against your P4s, except throw these tiny little chewing gum grenades that stick to the bottom of your shoes and make you go, oh, it's walking around. That's what an 18-8 is, if you guys didn't know. I looked it up. It's historically accurate. But again, it's kind of disappointing to see that this guy hasn't been repaired, that he's way so far out. This guy hasn't taken out this AT gun. Definitely take out the AT gun. Why? Pause. Why and when take out AT guns? Taking out an AT gun in this position because you have vehicle superiority. You don't want your opponent to have any AT at all. You can destroy it. I've got grid keys on, so grid keys means I just only need to press Q. I'm going to briefly explain as well, guys. If you're not too sure what grid keys are, basically it means it's a Q, W, E, R. Always going to be those, no matter what ability it is. and the same then the bottom line is going to be ASDF, and the bottom line then below that then is going to be Z, X, C, and V. So whatever you see there, it's like accurately portrayed on your keyboard essentially. But you can destroy this by pressing Q or attack move, or you can do attack ground. Either way, and selecting up on this. Like I say, destroying it then just prevents there ever being that AT gun on the field again. Obviously, they can make a new one, but it's a complete loss to them. They can't recreate with just conscripts at a cheap cost. And you know, obviously, like I say, because you've got the vehicle advantage, you don't want them to have the anti-vehicle in the game. Let's get back to the game now. So this P4 is in a position where he can come up and support your other P4 and your Grenadier squad. So Grenadier squad should very handily be able to deal with both the AT gun and the mortar, possibly, if he does not retreat out of it. And the P4 obviously coming in, tearing up and doing a nice bit of damage, and forcing off his troops is going to be good. But again, capitalize on it. This MG is very low. I need to send him back or go and move him into a decent position. This P4 has been sat here for way too long now. Several minutes, and he's not doing anything. He's not putting any pressure. He's not defending. He's not being repaired. So his Pioneer squad actually went down. That's terrible. You definitely need to get some Pioneers out. You can't have your vehicles lying about like that, because they suddenly become very, very, very easy to have. Ooh, strafing one, taking down that unit. That's it's not very cool. It's not very kosher. But hey, it's in the game. So I always say, if it's in the game, you've got to use it. Mortar squad could go down. He does. He's taking down the last man, which is happy days. So yeah, strong P4 force out here at the moment. And you've just got the overwhelming numbers, the overwhelming odds, which is happy days. You have the fuel advantage. Again, you could be doing the same thing with Tigers, except obviously with Tigers, they're a lot harder, a lot sturdier, and put out just about as much damage, maybe slightly more, but not a huge amount. But then you haven't got the map control. But because this is quite a small map, you can get away with like just 2 Tigers instead of all these P4s. Because they're not going to have to go to like, they're not going to spend like 10 minutes just getting from one side of the map to the other. What I would like to see, because you're floating quite a bit of everything, not a huge amount of everything though. I'd like to see some sort of bunker player, I guess. A bunker around by here would be quite good, as well as another forward bunker for healing here, just to solidify your grasp on the middle VP. If you can control the middle VP, the other two aren't too far away. Again, this guy needs to get out. He's been here again far too long. Now the P4 is actually doing something, but I fear maybe too late. But I mean, you're in a very comfortable position. There's not a lot that your opponent can do. You've cut him off from his resources well. You come up from his field. Took out his SU-85 when he just poorly microed it. I mean, this victory, I guess, is more going to come down to your experience over your opponent, because as soon as you're loading in, I think you're around about level 60. I think he's around about level 30. If I'm right, I'm usually right or wrong. Yeah, that makes sense. Either right or wrong. This conscript score is going to go down. You can see your P4 is going to come in and have absolutely no trouble at all, because he keeps using his barrage ability. It automatically means he's not firing the AT gun as an anti-vehicle weapon. But now this has turned into a very poor flank, because pause. What did you do? You kept them bunched up. When you're flanking, you always want to keep them going to the same area, but from different routes. Because obviously the SU-85 can only fire in the front direction, and it takes quite a while for this AT gun to swivel. This first tank that came in and bore the brunt of the damage, well, you could have moved him right down here. If you moved him right down here, it means both of these are showing their rear to your other P4. But if you flank together with both P4s, it's not as effective, because as soon as they turn, well, they're both in the firing range then. And that's when you see them do the whole dog line. I don't like this flank, I want to get out. But one of them's probably going to go down. Nope, both of them get out. Okay, so that's quite fluky. What? Who the hell killed you? You just like run into the wall and the wall killed you? Alright, okay, well, this SU-85 should have no bother in finishing off the other P4. But like I say, this is where you needed to have your Pioneers, sorry, your combat engineer, no, Pioneers, I got it right first time out, a lot earlier. If you were able to repair up your vehicles, you had one there, and the other one's up there. If you're able to repair those up, obviously this SU-85 is going to go down now with no trouble. But, I mean, at the cost of 2 tanks for nothing, that's always a steep price to pay. And he definitely could have done that more effectively, cheaper, and quicker. But there we go. I mean, you're still winning. You're still winning the engagements. That's the main priority. And you are now going for a triple cap as well, whilst your opponent is still slightly in the lead in terms of VPs. Obviously, that's going to change very quickly. Conscripts advancing on through. They're going to get eaten up by this stationary Grenadier squad. Again, I mentioned this before. The LMG upgrade will not fire if you're moving. It will only fire when stationary. Please bear that in mind. Eat a Molotov, though. That's not cool. You want to try and get out of there as soon as you can, but I believe you're trying to motor away some other things right now. Okay, this other P4 has been repaired. This other P4 should join up with this P4, just making sure that they'll be together like la 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 doo doo doo. You can tell I spent a lot of time singing in my youth. Not so much in my adulthood, because that's why I suck so badly now. P4 has a great flank on this Maxim machine gun. Again, just as soon as you see him to open up, just check out where he's actually opened up to, because before you threw that grenade, you could have got out of the cone of fire cone, visionary cone, whatever you call it. You do manage to crawl out of there just about there, and this machine gun could go down. Will go down. Will go down? It will go down. Cool. Again, you can't pick up this MG because, well, you can, but at the cost of a Panzer Grenadier squad, which is not efficient. Kill it. Just destroy it. You can destroy those support weapons as well. Just use either Q or E and take it out, just to make sure that your conscript-heavy opponent will not be able to take advantage of it. Another strafe marine coming in here. You know, I don't want to say anything. It's been fixed, it's been looked at. We'll see how it comes after the patch and what happens. But this is good, steady play. I mean, this pack has done nothing all game. And the other MG, that MG has been struggling to do much. This MG is still down here, surprisingly. So there's times where I wish you'd move your support weapons a little bit more, just to advance your, just to support your advancing troops better. There's definite opportunities for improvement in terms of bunker play, in terms of half tracks, in terms of thinking more strategically about tanks. For example, 4 P4s or 5 P4s I think this game, whereas if you had a couple of P4s and a Tiger, this game probably would be over. Again, I'm not butt hugging the Tiger, it's only because it's the commander that you went, and those call-ins are good to have, and at least add some variety to your force as well. If you've only got P4s, you know, a good player can take you out with just Su-85s alone. Again, I don't know whether this is a bit of a glitch or not. Okay, it's a good game, so it's kind of a bit of an unfortunate timing to bring this up. But I've noticed this quite a bit. Whenever you throw either an a rifle nade or a Molotov over an object, it seems to do a lot less damage. I'm not too sure if that is a bit of a bug or not, but there we are. Good game from JM12 or Jaeger Tech, depending on what mode I'm using to contact you. The one thing I would say, guys, just in general, is that if you would like a replay to be cast, definitely send it in. I've got no trouble sending them if you send them in, but I prefer them to be losses, simply because it's a much better way to learn. It's so much easier and so much more. Like, it sucks losing. Everyone hates losing. I hate losing. Like, I'll throw a little tantrum. I'll go and like have to stand away from my PC for like 5 minutes unless some danger of throwing my keyboard or something, you know, and I've lost a really stupid game. That's how I get sometimes. Sometimes it's just like water off a duck's back, like But obviously the professional thing to do is to take your losses, learn from them and improve it like that. It's a lot, like I say, it's a lot easier to give you hints and tips from a lost match than a won match. But that said, there's still you know, plenty of areas you could improve on in this match as well. Hopefully this cast has been beneficial to not only you, but other players who have been watching and thinking, well, picking up some tips possibly anyway. But there we go. That's been me for yet another Krozzfyre cast. I've got some cool things in the pipeline, yo. Check me out soon, guys, and I will see you on the flip side, brother. What? I'll see you guys next time.